Zayu, a 20-year-old, is in his room playing a game, which has just gotten to the interesting part. The boss level. The obsidian boss appears in front of him. The game warns him that it detects 10 people whereas the current player is just one. It asks him if he still wants to continue, but Zayu remains cool, calm and confident that he can beat a boss of this level. The obsidian boss uses a Mega Strike. Zayu is surprised that the boss is already using Mega Strike and decides that he won't hold back anymore. He activates the charging max mode and one strike of his sword sends a massive wave of power towards the obsidian boss, and thus, Zayu has successfully completed the level. After winning the level, Zayu sits in his room, in front of his laptop, and thinks to himself how easy this game is, that it almost makes him fall asleep. Just then, his phone rings, and as soon as he answers it, he hears his friend, Wang Bo's voice yelling at him and calling him crazy. Zayu shouts back too and asks him why he is yelling so loudly. Wang Bo tells Zayu that he is lazy for skipping classes at school, and continues to lecture Zayu that their homeroom teacher has asked him to come to class the next day. Zai replies by saying that he has skipped so many classes and no teacher has ever cared about him, so why should she? Wang Bo then explains to Zayu that he knows what happened a year ago had a huge impact on him. But before he can continue, he is cut off by Zayu, who says enough and ends the call. He turns his attention to the photo on his desk and looks at the girl in it, Yui. In his mind, he asks why she wasn't the one that survived. He then thinks that he was the one who killed her, so how could he lie with himself? His thoughts are interrupted by a notification that his phone receives, and Zayu gets frustrated thinking that it's his friend, Wang Bo, again. But it is actually a notification congratulating him for being the only player in the final games. Zayu is confused and wonders if he ever downloaded this game. It seems to be a new game that he has never seen before. Suddenly, a hologram pops out of his phone screen, making him drop the phone. It mentions his player statistics such as name, age, HP, MP, power, agility, spirit, and points. After looking at the low stats, Zayu thinks to himself that he is a loser. Suddenly, a voice from the phone says that the points won in the game can be redeemed for anything. Zayu is surprised on hearing this and thinks that the game is tricking him, and so challenges the game to turn his 50 existing points into money. The very next moment, his phone receives a message saying that he has received 50,000 yuan. Zayu still stays skeptical and thinks that it can't be real when suddenly, someone knocks on his door. He opens the door to see his angry landlord. She immediately asks him to pay her the rent money or leave quickly and goes on to comment how dirty and stinky Zayu has made her room. With the money that he just received, he pays her the 3 months rent he owed her, and the next year's rent as well. After receiving this amount of money, she becomes nice towards him and tells him that if he ever needed anything, he could always ask her. Zayu tells her that he would be grateful if she did not cut his electricity off, and asks her to leave. He slams the door shut and, while trembling, realizes that the game is real. He then sees the picture of Yui on his table and thinks that if points can be exchanged for anything, it can also be used to resurrect a dead person. The game lets him know that his points is at 0 at the moment, as he spent them on exchanging it for the money. He also learns that it requires 1 billion points to bring back a dead person. So, if he earns enough points, he can bring back his friend, Yui. Zayu is overcome with emotions and sheds happy tears while holding the picture close to him. He then shouts and says that it's just 1 billion points and asks Yui to wait for him. Soon, Zayu receives a message on his phone that says that a rare task is waiting for him. He gets excited as he can earn points through these tasks and presses on the accept button. For the next few days, he devotes his time and energy to completing various tasks. He performs tasks such as picking the garbage off the streets, for which he earns 1 point. Then he cleans up the school campus and receives 2 points for it. He also receives a task of picking up garbage from the women's bathroom, and despite the angry screams from the females in his school, he completes the task successfully and earns 5 points for it. A few days later, he checks his phone and sees that he's only earned 100 points even after doing all those tasks. Zayu realizes that he has underestimated the game, but even though it is a small number of points, it is still a step closer to resurrecting Yui, so he thinks that it's worth it and does not give up. When he completes 50 tasks, Zayu receives a message from the game stating that he has gained a chance in the lottery for the completion of 50 tasks. But he decides to use the option later as he could get a good prize from it, because for the time being, he just wants to focus on obtaining points. As he's walking while looking at his phone, Zayu slips on a banana peel and crashes into a tall, gorgeous girl with beautiful, purple hair. He ends up falling on her, and as he scrambles to get up off her, he apologizes to her, and tells her that he didn't do it on purpose. She replies that she never knew a fatty could be so brave. As he keeps apologizing to her, she takes off her jacket and says that he has to make it up to her for falling on her. Zayu asks her how he can make it up to her. To this, she replies by asking him to give her all his points. Zayu can't believe what he's hearing. He realizes that if she's talking about points, then she must be a player too. Suddenly, she activates a city separation mode, which creates a force field around them, turning the sky purple. Zayu looks up at his sky, wondering how it changed color, but in the meantime, the girl has activated her sharp clawed weapon in her hands and lashes out at Zayu and injures his left arm. Clutching his arm that she just attacked, Zayu asks the girl to join forces with him since she is also a player of the final level, so they can complete tasks together. She retorts to this by calling him ignorant, as getting along in this game would be impossible. The girl gets close to him and whispers into his ear that the real point of the game is to earn points by killing other players, and that only idiots do the simple tasks. Zayu is stunned upon hearing this. Then, she suggests that Zayu should just let her kill him so he can become her points, as it is better than doing those silly tasks. Zayu tells her that he has other important things to do and runs away immediately, and comes across a man walking on the street. He shouts to him to help him and call the police. But when he runs to hold his arm, he realizes there's a force field between them and he cannot escape the city separation mode that the girl activated. The girl is right behind him and tells him to knock it off because they are in a realm that exists only for players. Then, she brings out her weapons again and tells him her prey can't run away when she is hunting. Before he can react, she pierces his chest with the blades and Zayu falls to the ground. The game sends out warnings that the player's heart has been injured and it may lead to death. Even though Zayu is hurt severely, he tells himself that he can't die like this, especially now, after figuring out a way to resurrect Yui. He then remembers the lottery that he won for completing 50 tasks, and decides that now is his chance to use it, so he commands it to the game. The girl who stabbed him watches the situation in confusion. The lottery system is soon activated and a lucky spin system is set up. The girl sees this and comments that it's just a lottery that has a low percentage of winning prizes. She also makes fun of him by saying that she wants to see if he wins a lucky bag or a VIP membership, and laughs. While the wheel is spinning, Zayu hopes to at least win a healing potion. The spin system lands on a tile that says "Thank you for participating." Zayu is in disbelief. The girl teases him that the heavens can't help him either. In defeat, Zayu tells Yui that he can't help her and apologizes. But just when Zayu thought it's all over, the wheel moves and lands on the next tile, which reads "Obtain special equipment." The girl cannot believe it and Zayu immediately feels hopeful. The girl says that she's never heard of any special equipment before and sees that Zayu's body is healing. She doesn't want him to get away, so she tries to use her weapon on him again. But before she can attack him, Zayu shoots up to the sky. Zayu's arm and heart have healed, thanks to the one-time healing power of the rare equipment that he obtained. He tells the girl that heaven doesn't want him to die here. Zayu has also obtained a brand new devouring sword. The girl angrily tells him that a noob who just entered the game cannot control such a powerful sword easily. Zayu tells her that she's already been defeated by the equipment and yet she's still not surrendering. Hearing this, she laughs sarcastically. She replies by saying that the game doesn't rely on equipment. She then tells him that she would let him experience the terror of this game. Picking up his sword, Zayu asks her not to underestimate him. She lunges forward at him, but he deflects her with his devouring sword. Then, he tries to attack the girl with it. She tells him that it's disappointing how he hasn't even managed to touch her yet. Zayu is furious and tells her that if it was an operating game, she would have died many times by now. She asks him to stop trying as he wouldn't be able to hit her no matter how hard he tried because of his low level. Then, Zayu sees bright, purple-colored bruises and marks on his arms and legs, and she informs that her attacks leave traces on her opponents. But before she can finish her sentence, the marks explode. Even after all that, Zayu still manages to stand up, for which the girl says that even she is impressed by his personality. She then tells him that she would deliver the final strike and comes towards him. Zayu is barely able to move because of the pain, but he reminds himself of what and who he's playing for and is overcome with strength to fight her. The game notifies that the system has detected players' status and equipment level at 100%, and the devouring sword has upgraded to an equipment. He is then told that the devouring equipment can also be used as a rare skill, and if he wants to activate upgrading mode, he could do so. Zayu immediately says yes and the command is processed. While the sword is upgrading, the girl admires Zayu and thinks that he is quite skilled. Out of nowhere, Zayu jumps at her with his sword. His powers, speed and agility seems to have improved, but she still dodges it. She goes to attack him with her weapons, but his strike makes her fall to the ground, leaving her speechless and angry. Zayu then says that because of her, he sacrificed himself to the sword. She threatens Zayu that she will let him know the consequences for injuring her. Zayu responds by saying that she is actually trapped as the power from his sword has already spread to every corner of the place. He then tells her that it's time for her to experience his mega strike. He drives his sword to the ground, causing the walls and buildings around them to crack. As the rocks come tumbling down on the girl, Zayu escapes with the hope of earning 1 billion points to rescue Yui. Yui calls out to Zayu and asks him to wake up. She reminds him that he promised to carry her in the new game. Then, she says that she is disappointed in him and turns around and walks away. Zayu wakes up and screams her name. He realizes that he had fainted after the exhausting fight and had this dream. He then receives a call from Wang Bo, who tells him that the new homeroom teacher will expel Zayu from school if he does not attend classes regularly. Zayu angrily responds by telling him that he would never attend classes ever again and ends the call. Then, he receives another game notification. It's a task asking him to go near Jiang University and appear at the F-class underground entrance to attack and kill the boss to gain points and experience. So he heads to his school. As he walks by, he notices girls and boys looking at him strangely. Zayu is confused as to why until he looks into a glass and sees his reflection. His fat, chubby face has turned into a handsome, skinny face with sharp features and a sculpted jawline. The game system tells him that the player's fat has become the power in the process of activating the devouring sword mode. He is also warned that the process of uploading needs a great amount of power, and the player could endanger their life if they scarifist their life again. Zayu notices that his clothes are torn and shops for an outfit from the point store. Keeping in mind to spend as less points as possible, he buys new clothes. When he reaches Jiang University, Zayu gains the attention of every girl in his school. They can't take his eyes off him and they all wonder who the new, hot guy is. Zayu doesn't react and is uninterested, but also is happy to receive compliments. He sits down at a bench and decides that it is time to truly understand the game in case he runs into that crazy female player again. He analyzes his avatar status and statistics. His powers and skills have been upgraded, but his points still remain the same because he didn't kill the girl after defeating her. He heaves a sigh of relief as he is not ready to kill anyone yet. Then, he tries to understand the equipment's use. Zayu notices that the upgraded mode doesn't only contain the power of his life, and it also needs experience and proof. As he continues to look at his skills, a basketball lands near his feet. The players ask him to pass the ball, and when he does, he flings it so hard that it breaks the backboard of the basketball hoop. The players try to figure out who broke it, and Zayu hides behind a tree. He is amazed that he is able to do that with just 8 points of power. Then, he receives a notification stating the level F underground city has been activated. The game has an automatic directions feature, which leads Zayu to the women's bathroom. He tells himself that he must go in as it is for reviving Yui. He walks in and it seems to be empty. The arrows lead him directly to a toilet, and as soon as he opens the door, he sees a girl inside. She yells at him and tells him that he is a pervert. He tries to reason with her, but she says that she heard that there was a pervert in school but never thought she'd meet him, and pulls out her saw. She says that he would forget everything with a bottle of amnesia anyway, and asks him if she should carve him from the left or right. Zayu tries to tell her that it's not what she thinks it is, but she refuses to listen. The game detects a battle between players in the same room and automatically starts the city separation mode. So the girl realizes that Zayu is a final level player too and says that now she can randomly carve, and heads towards him. Zayu tells her that he would explain to her after defeating her. She asks him how he has the courage to say that despite being a noob. To this, he replies that he won't know until he tries. They both battle it out, and suddenly, a portal opens up and the game announces that the underground city has been activated and other players will automatically enter. As they continue fighting, they fall into the portal and end up in the underground city. The city is an abandoned model of their school, and they are both surrounded by blue-eyed monsters with sharp claws. The girl soon realizes that Zayu is not actually a pervert but was just playing the game and following its instructions. So, she decides to help him and gives him tips on how to fight and defend himself against the monsters. She explains that the color of the monster's name represents its danger level. The one in front of them is yellow, which means it's stronger than Zayu. He is no match for the monsters, but to her, they represent no danger, so she decides to fight them by herself. The monsters move towards her and she strikes them with her saw. But there are more monsters, so she activates her Thunder Hurricane skill. A monster tries to attack her from behind when she isn't looking, so Zayu strikes it with his sword, but the monster is unharmed. Yu realizes that his damage is too low. The girl stabs the monster with her saw and asks Yu what he's doing as she had asked him not to fight. He responds that he did it instinctively as he doesn't want any girl to get hurt in front of him. Upon hearing this, she thinks to herself that Yu doesn't seem bad and introduces herself to him as Shen Tun Yao. She then tells him that his skills are poor, so she would be nice enough to let him join her team. She sends him an invitation which mentions that gift distribution will be decided by the leader. Yu thinks that he would have to work for free, but at least he would gain experience out of it. After he accepts it, Shen Yao tells him that he should be grateful and just stand behind her for experience, but if he troubled her, she would chop him off. She swings her weapon around and defeats the monsters one by one. Suddenly, Yu gains experience points and his level is upgraded, because of which the monster names change from yellow to green. Yu is happy that he can finally fight them. After the monsters have been defeated, they receive a warning that the boss is before them. As they wait outside the boss room, something sticky falls on Yu. It's called a sticky monster. It's the protein that normally sticks on the corpse of the monsters to absorb their nutrients, but it doesn't have any offense power. When they enter, they see the monster called Poison Bones Crocodile. Its name is written in red, so Shen Yao asks Yu stand obediently and just watch her fight. She distracts the monster using immediate shadows and slices it in half with her saw. The boss seems to have been defeated, but sticky monsters fall onto the boss monster, and with the strength from the sticky monsters, the boss is healed and able to stand up again and attacks Shen Yao. Shen Yao has been poisoned by the boss monster's attack and she is unable to move from the numbness. Yu comes to her rescue by using upgrade mode and picks up Shen Yao. The monster is so strong that it doesn't feel like belongs to an F-level underground city. Shen Yao says that she had heard that high-level monsters appear in the underground city daily, but she had no idea that they would find one here. She says that their luck is bad. Yu tells her that they should talk about the monster instead of luck. She shouts back at him saying that their only choice is to escape and not fighting the boss. Yu states that he can't run away with her as she cannot move, so he goes to challenge the monster. He tries to direct the monster away from Shen Yao by running in the opposite direction, but the monster doesn't follow him. It roars and uses a poison attack, but Yu shields himself with his sword. When the monster opens its mouth to roar again, Yu holds its jaw open with one foot and strikes with his sword. But in the process, Yu is poisoned as well. He feels like his organs are damaged but continues to fight. The monster then slams him to the floor and Yu's HP decreases. The monster stomps towards him and even uses poison attack, but Yu dodges it expertly. The monster then attempts to eat him, but Yu strikes it with his weapon. When his Mega Strike is ready, Yu brings the boss down. Shen Yao is shocked that Yu could match his speed to the boss and beat him at his low level. Yu explains to her that though the monster's offense is pretty strong, it can only strike a few times. If you're 30 or more meters away from it, it will create poison shards. In the distance between 10 and 30 meters, it would give off lightning strikes and attack. In the distance below 10 meters, it would activate quick attacks. And even with the speed, you can see the pattern of the attacks, making it easy to dodge. After 2 hours of dodging, defending, and attacking, the monster's HP is pretty low. Yu is relieved that it's gonna end soon. But suddenly, the monster enters explosive mode. Hong, the leader of the Blood Moon Guild, sees that there's newbies for him to hunt. So that is it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. So if you like the video, then hit that like button and leave a comment for the next part. Most important, subscribe and press the bell icon for notification. I will meet you in the new video. Till then, bye.